I again would like to thank Tom Robinson for putting on that wonderful video presentation, and to remind us that it will also be shared on social media for you to take a copy of that. I'd like to continue on in our service this morning. The obituary is going to be read at this point by one of Dane's past coaches, Bill Tatum. If you want to follow along on your prayer sheets, you're welcome to do that. Bill, please.
Dane Ryan Fisher Sr., Hotoa Chekstas, Short Bowl, was called home on June 28, 2020. Dane was born to Lisa Oldmouse and Stephen Fisher Sr. in Hardin, Montana. His Cheyenne name was given to him by his great-grandfather, the late Douglas Dave Glenmore. Dane grew up in Billings, Montana for the majority of his childhood, but desired to return to his homeland on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation. He attended St. Lebray High School as a freshman and graduated with the class of 2004. Dane Ryan was an all-around, highly talented athlete. Amongst his myriad of talents and hobbies, Dane participated in youth baseball and football, high school cross country, and enjoyed roping. But his expertise in basketball and his insatiable hunger to succeed is something that he will forever be remembered for. His work ethic was beyond words. His desire to elevate his skills began at a young age when he was outdoors shooting a basketball at all hours of the day and night. He flourished as a St. Lebray Brave in high school basketball and became well known for his sharp decision-making skills and ability to shoot from anywhere on the court. There are numerous stories and memories about his high school career from people all over the country. Dane was a tough competitor. After graduating high school, Dane attended various colleges and played basketball at each of them: Bismarck State, Chief Dull Knife College, and Salish Kootenai College. He became well known throughout the collegiate basketball scene, but his career did not stop there. After college, he consistently spent countless hours in the gym perfecting his skills, as he was avid in the basketball tournament circuit. He competed in tournaments throughout the U.S. and continued to add more honors to his already lengthy list of achievements. Dane was always excited to share his basketball knowledge and offers pointers to whomever crossed his path. He was constantly encouraging others to work hard and attain their goals. When he became part of the Hell in a Heat family, he utilized his expertise to empower youth through basketball and help them develop skills that could also be applied to everyday life. He represented Hell in a Heat throughout Great Falls and northern Montana reservations by hosting camps, individual trainings, and coaching. He elevated the program with his charismatic, warm, loving personality and was best at what he did. Dane was deeply loved, cherished, and respected by many. His presence undoubtedly left an impression on every single person. His big smile, loving hugs, and humorous jokes, stomping hands, will live on in our hearts as we continue to keep his memory alive. The Great Dane's legacy will be celebrated for generations to come. Dane was preceded in death by his grandparents Verna and Roger Oldmouth, Dorothy Glenmore, Ronnie Seminole, Bernadine Fisher, Thelma Tutu, Emile Frazier, great-grandparents Douglas and Josephine Glenmore, great-great-grandparents John and Josie Stanzen Timber, Rhoda Parker and Miles Seminole, uncles CPL Vidal Yellowrobe, Mylan One Bear, Eugene Braveheart, aunts Donette Glenmore, Leslie Fisher, Bernadine Barr, Delmaline Fisher, brothers Alan Al Fisher, Preston Gray, Melvin Pretty Weasel, and Tim Wolf, and nephew Clint Ross Fitzpatrick Jr. Dane is survived by his children Dane Fisher Jr. and Jaden Marie Fisher, mother Lisa Oldmouse, father Stephen Fisher Sr., siblings Sherelle Fisher, Stephen Fisher Jr., Jasmine Brady Fisher, Lindsay Fisher, Samantha Poirier Leadham, grandmothers Geraldine Fisher and Rhoda Glenmore, aunts Donna Fisher, Thelma Fisher, Shelley Fisher, Edith Adams, Nathal Show, Carol Winslow, uncles J.D. Oldmouse, Sean Oldmouse, Roger Lee Oldmouse, Arlen Fisher, Alan Fisher, Virgil Fisher, Vernon Fisher, Roy Fisher, Eugene Fisher. Senior Dane is survived by numerous extended family members.
Thank you, Bill. At this time, to give our eulogy today is past coach of Dane, Steve Ewing.
Greetings, welcome family, friends, past competitors. There's quite a few of you out there. I'm honored to be able to stand up here and talk about Dane. I want to thank Stephen and Lisa and Sherelle, Stephen Jr., for asking me to speak. I know there's a lot of people that could speak up here, but I'm gonna do my very best to make a good impression before we send him on his way. I definitely want to say thanks to the drum group. They sounded marvelous. It's always good to feel that feeling. Thank you, drum group. Okay, so as I walked through the high school hallway over at St. Labre today, I was able to go through that hallway. I had that incredible feeling and sensation that was there when Dane was playing with his teammates. We had something going good at the school. I remember where his freshman locker was. I remember where his sophomore locker was. I remember when he was a junior and where he was at. Of course, his senior locker right next to the library. I remember those times. I remember where he was at. One of the things I've been able to do with Dane is spend an incredible amount of time with him while he was in high school. I want to thank Lisa and Stephen for allowing me to spend that time with him. And I said a few things down at the house. I won't say them today, but one of my very first memories with Dane was when we went out to Spokane, and Stephen and myself and my brother Shane and my brother Wes, we went out and got in that Hoop Fest, that Spokane Hoop Fest, and we won that 6 foot and under. And we went and celebrated at the hotel later on that night. And Stephen was kind of showing off and doing some shallow diving. And so, you know, I mean, it was pretty cool. But Dane, Stephen looked at Dane, right at Dane, and said, "You don't get to do this. Don't even try it." And so we're enjoying ourselves in a pool, and the next thing you know, you hear Dane Ryan squealing, crying, top of his lungs. Ah! So Stephen hustles over there, does the nurturing dad thing, you know, comforts him, takes away the blood on his nose, and then it was just like a flip of the dime. He got an ass chewing. It was like, "What are you doing, young man?" So we seen a week later, Dane comes up and he's got this scab from the tip of his nose to the bridge of his nose there, and it was just one of those memories that I'll always remember, because Dane was always with his dad, going to basketball tournaments, always playing. I would have never thought I'd have been coaching him years later. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Dane's basketball accomplishments, not that you probably already know already. Just a few things, and I'm going to go back into his seasons that I was able to be part of. Dane Fisher was about 6 foot. I think after he graduated, he became 6'1". I really don't know how he got into those 6 foot and under tournaments. I just don't know. You know, and everybody's always so mad. He's, "You're over 6 foot," and Dane would be like, "I don't know how I did it." Him and Kenny Bigback had that thing where they could shrink their necks or something. But Dane, his freshman year, starting out his freshman year, he was a short, really skinny young man. I mean, he's pretty thin, man. And it's the first time I ever heard any of our kids call him fish sticks. He preferred to Dane, he preferred to him as fish sticks. And I don't know if that was before freshman year, but it's the first time I heard it when he was a freshman. So I always kind of laughed about it. You know, I was like, "Okay, fish sticks." And so we went on, and he was so small. I mean, he's just such a small guy. And that year we had some real seasoned guards on the team, and he was budding to play varsity. I mean, he scored 49 points in one game on the JV, and he just had fun. I mean, he just had fun. Little guy would go run up the court, spot up. We'd throw him. We had a fast break system where we'd hit that guard on the right side, and he would just drain them. Nobody come out to him, he'd just drain them. And so he scores 49 points in one game, and I know that feeling, you know. It's like, okay, when's he going to play varsity? When's he going to play varsity? And we get him in there against Baker. And I don't know if you guys know anything about Baker, but you know, they're state championship football players all the time, or they've won state in basketball just being physical. Well, they knew Dane was a shooter, so when Dane crossed that middle, they bumped him on his butt. And I mean bump him on his butt. And I remember Lisa she asked me if he was ready, if he's gonna be okay. And I said, "Yeah, he's gonna be all right." Because, you know, he had that expectation in his family to do well. All basketball players, you know, he couldn't go crawling back saying, "Oh, this hurt." You know, every one of his family members would have said, "Nope, you get up and you dust yourself off and you keep playing." But his sophomore year, okay, so he's still not very big. He didn't grow too much. He's still Dane's fish sticks. Nobody, not the great Dane. So, you know, I just want to get that real clear. He was not great then, but he was remarkable. I mean, so at freshman, we'd spot him up, and he'd always knock it down. He scored 180 points that year. And then he grew about 3 or 4 inches over that summer. He got faster, unbelievably faster, quicker, didn't gain much weight. He scored 575 points that season, averaged around 29 points a game. We were short making it to state that year. We took championship at districts, and you know, I'll get into that a little bit more. His senior year, he scored 795 points, and that's a prolific scorer. He's a scoring machine. You know, at one point in his well, he scored over 40 points 6 times in his senior year, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, the most he had was 46 in one game. But nobody talks about his defense. You know, that's one thing that kind of overlooked, how well he could score. He was our best defender as well. He really knew how to get down low and play deny defense, and he really made it tough on kids to score. And he's the hardest working athlete we had on the team. So kids just followed behind him. If he worked hard, all the other kids worked hard, and that's what leadership does. He was a great leader with his teammates, and they believed in him. We all believed in him. All-state first team, junior, senior year. You know, he's the MVP of our tournament. One of the things I could say that I was extremely proud of him, besides making it to state. I mean, making it to state is just something that's extremely hard to do. You really have to have a good team. Got to have good players. He was part of that. But one of the things that I was really happy with is there's a senior classic tournament that's played at the end of the season every year. And it's a combination of double A, B, and C. And I happen to be able to coach that team for Class B East. And with Dane and some really good ball players, Eric Lawrence, I seen him today from Foresight. There's a couple others that were extremely well from Broadus. We ended up winning it. We beat double A school. Chad Sukit's bunch. That's what I always call it, Chad Sukit's bunch. But I was extremely happy because the last time Class B East has won that is when Dane was on that group, 2004, and it's in that record book. So it's there every year. I look at it every year. I think about him, and I believe we had Lorenzo on that team as well. Fantastic group. His biggest high school accomplishment was making the Montana All-Star team. They only picked 10 of those, and it gets real political on how and who goes that selection for the state team. I mean, it gets real political. And Dane got it. Dane was on that team, and he represented our school, St. Lebré, in fine fashion as he always does. Fantastic young man. But it's probably one of my things I value him the most as a ball player as far as accomplishments, making that Montana All-Star team. He's one of the he's in that elite group of Native Americans to actually get on that team. Okay, that's just some of it. I mean, I'm sure you guys know all that. I guess I didn't thank the pallbearers, so I want to say thank you guys. You guys are an awesome group of guys. Before I get into storytelling a little bit, I just want to let you know that, you know, when Dane came here as a freshman, I wasn't sure how he's gonna be, you know. So I wasn't sure if he was gonna be a fisherman, because Stephen liked to fish a lot, or if he's gonna be a hunter, or if he just wanted to play basketball. Well, we talked about football, and that wasn't in the books. And then I talked about cross country, and that wasn't in the books. Yeah, talked about track. Nope, it's just basketball, bouncing that pumpkin around everywhere he went. And so Sean Fisher, Sean was a big part of our huntings. And I remember Sean, he got his hunter safety license when he was 11 years old, and we went out and got a buck. And then Dane came in when he was a freshman, he got hunter safety, and we went out his freshman year, and I mean, we went out to Blooms Creek and Pumpkin Creek, and we really did some hunting. And what my first good memory of Dane hunting was, he had a doe tag and he had a buck tag. And he went out, and it was just Dane. He crossed this little ravine, come up. Me and Sean were watching with binoculars. Put on an awesome stalk, shot it, killed it. Me and Sean went over there, and it had little tiny horns on it. It's just a little tiny 1-point buck. And me and Sean were just like, what the heck? Why did you shoot it? And believe me, I'm like kind of like flipping out, because, you know, we seen bigger bucks than that. And he's just proud. He's proud as can be, man. He said, I'm gonna tag that buck. Remember that? So he tags this 1-pointer, and I mean, he's sitting on top of it, his hands covering the horns. Can't even see the horns in the picture.
yeah. Back me down.
And yeah, so me and Sean were like, all right, we gotta go along with this. So he was pretty happy about that. Second hunting trip. This is when Sean was playing basketball. He wasn't with us. We were right before basketball practice. We had it late, so we took off after school. It just snowed. It's during November, and Dane knows by now to put bullets in his gun. So we're cruising out down Odell Creek, which is just a little ways down from here, and just off to the left on Forestry, there's 30 does just laying there, and behind that is a really big buck. And I'm just like, I knew Dane didn't put bullets in his rifle. And that's the first thing that made me start giggling. And so I pull out my gun. I say, "You got the first shot, Dane." And I knew he didn't have bullets in it. So, click. He goes click, and he's like, "What?" And he's looking at his gun, and it's like, "Where's the bullets?" I said, "Well, you're supposed to know where the bullets are." And so he's looking at the glove department, and he's frantically looking. I mean, he's going, "Oh my gosh," like that. And I knew the bullets were in my hunting bag, but I didn't say anything. So I let off a round, and I'm laughing. I'm already laughing. So my shot's off, and I missed the first shot. And Dane's like freaking out. I mean, he's like, "Oh my gosh, Steve, where's the bullets?" And so I shoot another round, and it goes over him. It's about a 50-yard shot. I sighted my gun in for 200 yards and just keep shooting right over top of him. And so the buck starts going up the hill. It started to go up the hill, and Dane finally figures out where the bullets were. So he puts them in real quick, and he's like a mountain lion, man. He just goes straight up that ridge, and he gets up top. He comes back 15 minutes later, and he is furious at me. He's like, "Steve, why didn't you tell me where the bullets were?" I was like, "Well, you're a hunter. You're supposed to put your own bullets in your gun before you go hunting." And so it was kind of like a lesson learned thing, and it was hilarious. And I missed the big buck, and he missed the big buck, and but it was a good laugh. I mean, we got to laughing about it when we got back home, but it was intense. I want to bring up. I want to tell this story, but it's got to come from the guy himself, and that's Bill Tatum. Bill, you want to come up and tell this third story? It's a hunting story, of course, but it's about this big buck over here. About this big guy. That's a big buck. That's 32 inches.
I don't know if you ever listen to Paul Harvey on the radio, and here's the rest of the story. So me, Steve, Dane, Hound Dog, we go hunting. It's an all-day deal, and we go down on the south side of the forest, and Steve's got a crew cab pickup, and Dane and Hound Dog are in the back, and we're bumping over the roads and stuff, and we come over this rise, and here's one of the biggest bucks I've ever seen, and he's courting a doe, and Steve hits the child locks on the back doors. And so Dane and Hound Dog are trying to open the doors, and we're like, "We can't get out, we can't get out." And Steve's laughing so hard, and so Steve gets out, and he's still laughing, and he misses 3 or 4 times. So he unlocks the door. We all go out looking for this thing, and we never got him. So we eat some lunch, we go up to Black Canyon. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got it, Steve. We go up Black Canyon, and it's the evening hunt now. And we get to the very end, and there was snow on the ground, and it was cold. And we look over the edge, and we see an even bigger buck, which is this one right here. And Steve's so excited he's peeing his pants, and he's like, "I missed so much today, you guys give it a shot, already." And so it's on. Dane and I are going after it, and at first it was only about 100 yards away, but it saw us, and it started to go over a little rise, and so we're trying to beat daylight and try and get a shot. And we're side by side, and we're doing more sliding and skating than we are running over the logs, over trees. Then we get up on top of the ridge, and there he is. And Dane's, I don't know what Dane's doing, I'm not paying attention to Dane, and I get a shot, and I miss, and I scope myself. So I got blood running down my face. Dane's like, "Coach, you missed." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, let's go." So it goes up over another ridge, we chase it, keep going, I get another shot, because, you know, back in that day I was faster than Dane. But, and I'm just joking. I take another shot, I miss again. And Dane's coming up, and it's like, "Come on, Dane, let's go." We had the last shot before it went over the hill and before it got too dark. And at that time I was shooting a .338 Winchester. Boom, boom. Dane has a .22-250. Dane gets ready. I mean, couldn't even hear the shot. And the buck rears up, and he falls backwards. And I've never seen somebody so excited in all my life. It was just, you know, and I'm like, this is awesome. So it's getting dark, so we have to go find it. Of course, it fell down at the bottom of the canyon. We get down there, and we're just in awe, because usually they get smaller the closer you get to them. This one just kept getting bigger. And, you know, we're high-fiving and hugging and stuff, and I'm like, "Okay, Dane, we gotta get out of here. Do you have a knife in your pack?" He goes, "Yeah." And he pulls it out, and it's like a butter knife. Okay. Luckily I had a pack with me with all the stuff, you know. I'm like, "Okay, we'll take care of this." And so I give him my knife, and he looks at me and he goes, "What am I supposed to do with this?" And I'm like, "Well, let's take care of this deer." And he's like, "I've never done that before." I'm like, "Okay, Dave, okay, I got you." So we go through, we get it done. I mean, it's below zero, we're freezing, and then it's pitch black, and we see Steve's headlights up on top, and we know we're not gonna be able to get it out that day, so we're gonna have to come back the next day. And it's really dark, we can't even see anything. And then Dane starts getting scared. And he's like, "Boy, it sure is dark out here, Coach." I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And it sure is cold, Coach. And I'm like, "Yeah, it is, Dane. I'm cold, but we gotta get out of here." And then we don't see Steve's headlights anymore. And then pretty soon we see him, and then Dane starts yelling, "Steve! Steve!" And there was a little bit of panic in there. I'm like, "Dane, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay." And so we finally get up out of there, and me and Hound Dog and Dane came back the next day, and we got it. And I still have that picture of he and I holding that deer together. He was so proud, and I was just so proud of him as well. And I'm just so honored that I was able to come here today. And Sherelle, thank you for allowing me to stand up here. Great Dane, that just says it all. And you know, I'd like to end with, you know, like I said, the rest of the story. I missed on purpose.
Good one, Bill. There's always two sides of that story, too. Maybe 3 or 4 hound dogs. No, but I remember that day. God blessed us with awesomest day hunting. I ruined myself by locking the child-proof locks and watching them 2 boys flip out in the back when I seen that big buck and they couldn't get out. And I was already laughing again. You know, I guess I enjoyed antagonized Dane, I guess. I just, it's something that I always did. So we missed Hound Dog. Hound Dog missed a non-typical press. Hound Dog shot a box of bullets at this one buck. And I mean a box of bullets. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, boom, boom, boom. A whole box. You know, all that buck did is just walked away, jumped over off to the private. And I was like, "Okay, Hound Dog, you missed the big buck." Not to make things worse. But yeah, we went to that. I've never told anybody about Dane getting scared. The only three people I know Dane was scared were me and Bill and Hound Dog. And me and Hound Dog were freaking rolling. Dang, Steve! Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. But that when we wanted to get, and then he didn't want to go back and get that big buck. He's like, oh, that's okay, that's okay. It's like, no, Dane, you're getting up in the morning and going down there and you're going to get that buck. And Bill took him down there, dragged it back up that steep mountain, and he was happier and happy when he did the right thing. But yeah, I was like, okay, you don't want that buck, I'll go get it. So I'm going to move on to more basketball stuff, and then I got a little bit of closing stuff, and then we got to get going with the rest. Like I said before, we all kind of know Dane before he was the Great Dane. I mean, we know that. When he transferred to St. Labray, I was extremely excited. You know, you ever wonder where Dane got his skills? You'd have to look at his family. You'd have to look at you know, the ones I'll say is Steven. Steven was hardcore, man. And he wanted to be good, so he pushed him hard. But then he had like first cousins. Virgil, silky smooth, rough, left-right player, you know. Tommy, shooter. Little Al, Mr. Hustler, you know, Richard, you know, state champion, Roy, Kyle, Sean. And I don't know how Dane ever survived that little basketball hoop down at Donna's. But he's like the skinniest kid in the bunch. And he's getting roughed up. He'd get knocked down. And there was absolutely no mercy for him. You know, if he's going to play with him boys, he had to play hard. But you know, there was a lot of expectations in that Fisher family. And then on Old Mouse family, you had Sean. You know, Sean, Mr. Inside Out move. That's the only move he has, inside out. So. I mean, it was an awesome inside-out move. There's no doubt. It was hard to stop. But that was his move, man. He'd get you going like this, and then inside out. And then JD, you know, he's a football player, played college football, and his expectation of being an athlete was high, very high. So had a bunch of guys on both sides of the family, taught him a lot. And of course the women, you know, they were right there too. I mean, you got Dalma, and you got Donna, and you got Melissa, you got all of them, man. I mean, let's go Braves, man, all the time. So the expectations to do well were there, and it was in a good way. It was in a very good way. Dane spent a lot of time at Donna's. And I never figured out why that guy never gained a pound. Donna cooked some awesome meals, man. And he just never gained any weight. I just didn't understand that. So we'll fast forward it to his junior year. And his junior year, he's having a remarkable year. I mean, he's averaging 20-some points a game. You know, we come in second in our conference and beat Forsyth to get in the championship. And then Sean takes a really good group of Lame Deer boys and makes the championship round. And I remember Eric Lawrence. Just remember this: we weren't going to fold over for you guys to get a challenge game. So, so here we are in a championship game. We beat Lame Deer twice by 25 points, and in the regular season. And here they are on top of us, man. We're playing from behind the whole game. And first quarter we're behind, second quarter we're behind, third quarter we're catching up, we're down 12 at the end of the third. I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna get beat in front of this sold out crowd to lame deer.
Hey now.
There's Sean. So it goes into the fourth quarter. There's a minute 20 seconds left. Minute 20 seconds left. We're 7 points down, and Fish Sticks goes off. I mean, we practice all these dribbling drills through the week. You know, there's inside outs, there's crossovers, there's spin moves. You know, we're step back dribbles. We're doing those every day. I've never had a kid ever put them all together at once. There's a clip on there at championship game. Dane comes in and does a crossover, comes in, does an inside out spin move. I mean, what the heck? I just keep rewinding it, because he did like 5 different dribbles in one stage, and then took the basket to one of their best ball players to foul him out. Makes 2 free throws, and so we're down 3 points. I don't know. I mean, this is just amazing. We're down 3 points, and we got like 10 seconds left on the clock. We practice this double staggered screen all season.
That never worked.
Okay, Sherelle. It didn't work. I gotta admit, it didn't. We tried and tried and tried. And, well, this time, you know, Dane had to have a whole sold out gym to make this shot. So he comes off, he gets a double screen, Frank Big Man throws him the perfect pass. Boy, off, net, everybody's just like, it's just incredible feeling. And then we closed it out with Arnold. She's making a free throw, but I won't comment on that very end there. I might embarrass somebody, so I won't go there. But so Dane gets hoisted up on the shoulders of Weston, and I think Casey Fisher, and it's just that moment of glory. It's just amazing, you know. And we're all part of it. He's sitting up there with his hands up there. Who would have ever known? But it was a moment of a lifetime. And you know, he just all state that year, went to divisionals. He fouled out in the third and fourth game. We ended up losing by 3 points, 4 points to Columbus. And the end of that season, one of the things I definitely wanted to say is when he was a sophomore, we're in a district semifinal game against Baker. We're down 3 points with about 30 seconds. And I set up the same kind of play with Dane, and he misses. We get the rebound, call timeout. Set up another, pretty much the identical play, but just a different reverse. He misses. And then we get a rebound, and he takes another shot, and he misses. And so we end up losing that game. But a whole year later, he turns around and hits the biggest shot in their life. And I mean, just everybody's always going to remember that, because it's against lame deer.
Hey now. I got that.
Uncle was there. Okay, I got to go. Uncle came up a week later, and all he could say was, "That's just too much Dane. Too much Dane." That's all he said to me. But he did a great job. He really did. Okay, so senior year rolls around. I've never been anything part of this, but he's averaging in the high 30s all year long. And he scores 46 points in one game. And I was just like, this guy just goes off. And he doesn't even try. He's just doing it like naturally, just naturally. Smooth basketball player, doesn't miss much.
Having fun.
And had fun, absolutely. He had fun. I seen Standing Water here from Harlem. Our very first game of his senior year. I'll never forget it.
Carry water.
Huh?
Carry water. Carry water.
Carrying water. My bad.
No, not carrying water. Carry water.
Oh, carry water. 3 times. 3 times. My bad. So anyway, we're playing Harlem. We're over at Forsyth in a Jamboree tournament. And Dane goes off, has 45 points. We beat Harlem. But at the end of that game, we had a player named Weston Badbear. If you don't know Weston, we got Weston. And my coach over there, I don't know, the Kennedy kid, he's a big kid, you know. Him and Weston are talking a little good stuff to each other. And so they shake hands, and Weston says something to the Kennedy kid. And next thing you know, it's on. This is our first game. I'm like, what the heck? So Bill gets in between them, puts his hands like this, and 10 minutes later, we're sitting in there with a cop. I'm like, what the heck? So we get through that game, and I was just like, okay. And it didn't slow down. His scoring it just kept going. And I always wondered if it was going to stop. He just kept scoring and scoring, and he had teammates that were feeding him the ball, and he just didn't miss much. You know, in that championship game, I forgot to bring up that Sean played on it, and Daryl, and of course his coach, his uncle, Sean, was coaching.
And Clinton Ross.
Oh, and Clinton Ross, and little Al, or Alan. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting, man. My bad, guys. Yeah, old age would do that to me. But it was fantastic. I mean, it couldn't get any better. We had family on this side, we had family on that side, and the one that liked it the most was Lisa. Oh my gosh. I never seen a prouder mother after that. I mean, it was awesome. Okay. You know, Dane went on to play college. You know, he was all conference his freshman year at Bismarck State. And, you know, he had some issues he had to come home for. Took care of those. But he went back to Bismarck State as a preseason All-American. I know some colleges, big schools were looking at him. That just didn't pan out the way it should have, but it nevertheless, it didn't take anything away from him. Proud of him, very proud of him. When I was gonna start out kind of going through my closing here, when I was down at the house, I was able to have a little bit of time with him by myself, and I told him I was extremely happy I was part of his life. Very, very proud to be part of his life. And that I knew that he cared about people. He always cared about people. He had a big heart. I know he loved his daughter. I know he loved his son. I knew he loved his family. Fisher side, Old Mouth side. I knew that. We talk about it sometimes. I told him I loved him. And I'd miss him. And that I'd see him again. This is what I'm thankful for, before I close it. Dane had a persona around him. Just around him. This is the way a person presents himself to the world. The character traits others see in him. This persona. And I'll give you one example of that. Inspiration. All my life, since I was in high school, when Michael Jordan was around, we'd always hear this little saying on TV. It says, I want to be like Mike. I want to be like Mike. Well, after he made that big old three-point shot against Lame Deer, I had these little tiny kids in my, my K8 PE. They were saying, I want to be like Dane Fisher. And it continued to this day. I seen it on Facebook this morning from a few players or a few younger kids that seen him play. Said they wanted to be like Dane. That's a persona. Dane was always kind to my family. I just want to say this. He was always kind to my kids, Rusty, Tegan, Brooklyn, especially respectful towards my wife, Tammy. It's not like he was any different from anybody else, but I respected that greatly. I really did. It meant a lot to me. Dane was an optimist. He could do anything he wanted. Like I said before, he had this communicating skills like nobody ever had. He could go anywhere and get along with anybody. He was just that good of a person. Dane was loved by so many. I will miss him. We will miss him. But we'll continue loving him. And right now, he's what I could say is a Northern Cheyenne legend. Love you, Dane.